If you've ever sat there wondering why she doesn't think about you the way you think about her, this is for you. Maybe you've tried everything. Texting at the right time, saying the right words, showing her how much you care, yet somehow she still seems cold, distant, like her world wouldn't change one bit if you disappeared tomorrow. And that cuts deeper than rejection, doesn't it? Because it feels like you don't even matter. If this is you, you probably catch yourself overthinking every silence, every unread message, every short reply. You wonder, why can't she see what's right in front of her? Why doesn't she miss me the way I miss her? And late at night, when your chest feels heavy and your mind won't shut off, you question yourself, am I not enough? Did I do something wrong? Or is she just never going to feel it? But here's the truth. Making a woman miss you has nothing to do with chasing, convincing, or begging her to notice your worth. In fact, it's the opposite. It's about sparking something inside her that she can't ignore, even if she thinks she's not interested. So the real question is, how do you create that pull so powerful that even the woman who once overlooked you suddenly finds herself wondering where you are, what you're doing, and why she can't get you out of her head? Most men get this wrong because they think the only way to make a woman miss them is to insert themselves more into her life. More texts, more calls, more attention. They confuse presence with attraction. And the harder they push, the more she slips away. That's not strength, that's neediness. And women can feel that energy immediately. The truth is, the masculine role isn't about chasing validation, it's about holding frame. A man grounded in himself doesn't need to prove his worth through constant pursuit. He knows that his value isn't determined by whether or not a woman notices him today. That calm confidence, that ability to walk away without resentment or fear, that's what makes her wonder. That's what creates space for her to feel your absence, to notice the silence you leave behind. The core principle most men never learn is this: attraction doesn't grow from trying to get her attention, it grows from your ability to hold your center, to be whole without her. When you stop seeking permission to matter, you automatically become the kind of man she can't ignore, because deep down, women don't miss the man who tries to please them. They miss the man who doesn't need them, yet still chooses them. He sat at the edge of his bed, phone in hand, staring at the dim glow of her last reply. Just a single word. Cold. Empty. It didn't even carry a trace of the warmth he once imagined was there. The silence after it felt heavier than the word itself, pressing down on his chest like a weight. He scrolled back through their conversations, lines of him trying, stretching, filling space with effort she never matched. His words were rivers, hers tiny drops of rain that barely touched the surface. And in that moment, something shifted. He placed the phone face down on the table. The room hummed with the quiet of the night. The faint ticking of the clock suddenly louder than it had ever been. He leaned back into the stillness, and for the first time he let himself stop reaching. A strange calm filled the space where the urge to chase once lived. Why am I begging to be noticed, he thought, when I've always been enough on my own? The days that followed were different. He carried himself lighter, shoulders straight, eyes steady. The phone still lit up, but he wasn't watching for it. He was busy, moving, living, breathing. And in the silence he left behind, she noticed. The absence grew louder than his words ever did. She found herself scrolling back through the same messages, staring at the spaces where his voice used to fill the void, wondering why she suddenly missed the presence she once overlooked, wondering why the silence didn't feel like freedom, but loss. One of the biggest lies men believe is that if a woman isn't interested, the only way to change that is to prove themselves by giving more, trying harder, or constantly reminding her they exist. But here's the truth: the more you push yourself into her world, the more she feels she doesn't need to pull you in. Space is what creates longing, not pressure. Another false belief is thinking that her lack of interest means you're not enough. That belief eats away at your confidence, when in reality, it's not about proving worth. It's about standing so firmly in who you are that she can't help but notice the weight of your absence. She didn't ghost you, you disappeared from yourself. Women don't miss the man who needs them, they miss the man who doesn't. The 3% man doesn't waste energy trying to convince a woman to feel something she doesn't. He understands that attraction isn't something you manufacture by force, it's something you allow to unfold when you stand firm in your value. While most men get stuck in the cycle of chasing, overthinking, and overcompensating, he takes a different path. This is what he understands. When a woman feels no space to miss you, she never has the chance to wonder about you. He doesn't fear that distance. He respects it because he knows that his presence is strongest when it's not forced into her life. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. He brings calm, grounded energy into every interaction, not a frantic need to be validated. He doesn't measure his worth by her attention. He lets her feel the difference between his steady silence and the noise of men who chase. And here's the shift. Instead of asking, how do I make her want me? He lives by, how do I keep living fully with or without her? That's what makes him unforgettable. That's why he becomes the man she finds herself missing, even when she once thought she never would. He sat there, staring at the empty screen, waiting for a reply that never came. Hours bled into days, and the silence gnawed at him like a question with no answer. But then, in the quiet, something unexpected stirred. It wasn't anger, it wasn't desperation, it was clarity. He realized he had been waiting not for her words, but for permission to feel enough. Every unread message, every cold response had convinced him his worth lived in her recognition, but as the thought surfaced, he felt the weight of it break apart, like chains finally rusting loose. In that moment, the stillness didn't feel like rejection anymore. It felt like freedom. He saw himself clearly, strong, steady, a man who had forgotten his own gravity while orbiting someone else's, and with that realization came peace. He didn't need her to notice him to matter. He didn't need her to miss him to exist. The awakening was simple, but it changed everything. The absence he feared was not hers leaving, it was him forgetting himself. And now that he remembered, he knew no silence could ever take that away again. The moment you stop chasing her is the moment she finally feels the weight of what it means to lose you.